Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green said New York Knicks owner James Dolan operates with a slave master mentality by taking issue with Charles Oakley's criticism after the organization benefited from his contribution as a player. Here's a quote. "You doing it for me, it's all good," Green said on his Dre Day podcast on Uninterrupted. "You doing it against me, you speaking out against my organization, it's not good anymore. That's a slave mentality. A slave master's mentality. That's ridiculous." It was all fine and dandy when he was, laying people out, taking fines and all that stuff for your organization. But now all of a sudden, when he says something that he feels it's a problem, and he also went on to say, Green added that the organization's handling of Oakley and Phil Jackson's indirect and direct criticism of Carmelo Anthony will impact the club and free agency. When you look at what's going on with Melo, the situation in their organization, and now how you do a legend in Charles Oakley, I don't know if a free agent that would want to go there. I don't know someone who would really want to go there. Now, one thing I need to note before I get into my thoughts on this, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, James Dolan wasn't the owner of the Knicks when Charles Oakley played for the team. I think the way the story read is the last year that Oakley played for the Knicks, that's when Dolan took ownership of the team. He took over operations as the club owner after Oakley was traded from the Knicks. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. The point that he's trying to make is that the owner has a slave master's mentality. Now, there's a lot of people talking today and saying Draymond Green, whenever this type of thing comes up, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, people get up in arms. How dare could he call him a slave master and talk about slavery in these terms of such, superficial, commercial things. Slavery was so much, worse than anything that a professional athlete could go to today. I understand all of that. What I will say is this. Now, follow me on this now. Why can't black people speak in hyperbole? Do you really think... Let's stop right here. I want to make sure and make this point. I really think that Draymond Green equates basketball and a dispute between a former player and an owner in the same terms as the brutal practice and history in this country of slavery. You don't believe that at all. I actually looked up the definition of hyperbole. Exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. That's it. It's an exaggerated statement or claim not to be taken literally. So if you're black, and listen, I think everybody should understand what Draymond Green was saying, but especially black people. And when I heard the comments, I didn't think for 1 minute that he was saying, James Dolan treats Charles Oakley like a slave, or he wishes that he was a slave master, or he wants to put him up on a pole and beat him or whatever. I didn't think that for a minute. What he said was a comparison. It was hyperbole. He made it more than what it was. He didn't mean for it to be taken literally. Okay? Everybody should understand what he's saying. What he's saying is, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, what he's saying is, as he said, when you're doing stuff for him, when you're working for somebody in charge, in this particular case, a white older gentleman with a lot of money and a lot of prestige and a lot of power, when you're working for him, it's all fine, i.e. the slaves back in the day. When you're not working for him, or when you want to get away from him, or when you don't agree with him, that's a slave master's mentality. If you feel like, oh, this guy used to work for me and now he doesn't, and he's the baddest guy in the world. And I also think, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, a direct connection between what Draymond Green said and that whole statement by Dolan and the organization about Oakley being an alcoholic, or he needs help, kind of implying that he's mentally unstable, once again, an alcoholic or something like that. And it kind of makes you think about and kind of has the feel of, a black slave escaping from his master or getting his walking papers or whatever, and that's wrong. Why don't you want to stay here and do exactly what I say and do exactly what I tell you to do? That's what he meant. That's all that he meant. No more, no less. And we saw the same scenario under Dan Gilbert in Cleveland when a lot of people said, oh, Dan Gilbert mad because LeBron, going to Miami. He's running away from the plantation. Once again, hyperbole. So we understand exactly what they're saying. And once again, the point about, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, the point about, defaming the person's character, in this country, you should totally understand. There's been so many incidents that we've heard of over our lifetimes. One in particular that I thought about, to a much higher degree is Emmett Till. You know the story about Emmett Till coming out of a store or whatever. He saw a white woman and he whistled, and then there was this campaign to destroy his character, and he's a sexual predator or whatever, and they killed him. Defaming his character. Something that's very simple, making so much more about it. And it's not to that degree clearly, but it's the same type of feel. And what we've seen in this country over the past 400 plus years is, if you don't do what I say, or you don't say or do what I ask you to do, then there's a big, big problem. And we're going to smear your name. We're going to smear your name. We're going to make you look bad. And once again, this is a much smaller case example than Emmett Till or anything that we've seen in the treatment of black people and slaves, back when we first got in this country. But you understand exactly the point that he was trying to make. I don't think it's even that big of a deal. I think what he's saying is very accurate. And here's the thing about it. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Here's the thing about it. James Dolan in his comments, specifically could have been talking about the relationship between an owner and a player, where you have a rich billionaire owner and you have an athlete. It may just be that. It may be that James Dolan is offended that Charles Oakley would speak out against him being the head of the organization, the owner of the team, and the New York Knicks. It may not have anything to do with race at all. But here's the thing about it. Based on what we've been through in this country, once again, for over 400 years, why would anybody give James Dolan the benefit of the doubt? Let me say that one more time. It could be very simplistic. It could be that James Dolan doesn't like the fact that a former player, being from the standpoint of an owner, doesn't like a former player talking bad about the team. That's what it could be. That's very, very possible. But based on his actions, based on the feel, the aura of the statements, and based on our history here in this country for over 400 plus years, why would Charles Oakley, why would anybody disagree with hyperbole from Draymond Green about the relationship and how it feels to him between James Dolan and Charles Oakley? Why would anybody give him, why would anybody give Donald Sterling, why would anybody give Dan Gilbert the benefit of the doubt in that conversation? Why? Look like a duck, act like a duck, might be a damn duck. As simple as that. It's as simple as that. And once again, this is hyperbole. This is his opinion. And that's another big thing about this. I've seen a lot of TV shows this morning, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show and on the Puppet Factory. The Puppet Factory is ESPN if you don't know what I'm talking about. I've seen these shows on the Puppet Factory, and they're asking all these different people, Stephen A. Smith and all of the black people, they bring out all of the black people to get conversation. Those cats not going to say nothing derogatory or proceed to be derogatory because they're trying to keep their job. I get that. But they're asking all these people, is it right or wrong for Draymond to say what he said? That's not a right or wrong thing. That's an opinion. That's it. That's one person's opinion. He made a comparison between James Dolan's actions and slave master's mentality. That's it. That's one person's opinion. Whether it's right or wrong, nobody can tell. There's no right or wrong. That's his opinion. And asking people, oh, is it right or wrong? It's almost like they're defending. And that's why I have a problem with this. It's like they're defending James Dolan. Why would anybody defend James Dolan? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me at all. What are your thoughts, man? 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedugstewartshow.com. It's hyperbole. That's it. And why would you give any type of defense to James Dolan? Why would you do that? Why would you give him the benefit of the doubt based on what he said, based on his actions, and the whole crap about bringing former players to sit next to him? That's some old slave master mentality bullshit too. We ain't stupid. We ain't stupid. Look, I got some other niggas sitting by me. Look, it's all good. These niggas like me. Get the fuck out of here. We ain't stupid. We ain't stupid. You can't just go get Latrell Sprewell and any other ninja you want to come sit down by you and think that that we don't understand and see right through what you're doing. We ain't stupid. That is some slave master mentality bullshit. We'll get these other niggas over here to say Massa good, Massa alright, Massa ain't that bad, Massa feed us, he give us a place to stay in the barn. Man, fuck you.